Okay, today is March 22nd.
We kept some statistics this winter. Of course, we had, light snowfall this winter, but our wait list for overnight parking consisted of 38 people. And since the overnight parking ban is over for the winter, we've been keeping statistics of the cars that have been parking overnight on the street, and about 82% of them are permit holders. So they're parking on the street as a matter of convenience, even though they have the ability to either park in the Site C lot or the Site A garage. I think it's very premature to even start talking about building a facility with that kind of demand. I think I had spoken to Captain Wisner a few months ago. He contacted me, and he's trying to come up with some ideas about maintaining overnight parking on the street throughout the year. I think when we tested it with Chief Kopeka about 10 years ago,
Yeah, something like that.
I think the problem with that was it was a snow emergency whenever it snowed, and that's not even how it works now. There's no overnight parking. During the day, we could have a blizzard, people could still park on the street. And I think that's the mistake we made, because it killed the business district when they tested it, because it involved taking cars off the street at all hours of the day and night. So I think we need to revisit that. I spoke with him about it. I don't know where he is with it. But I think a snow emergency might work, where for 48 hours after a snowfall, there's no overnight parking. During the day, things are normal, like they are now. And that gives DPW 2 nights to clean the streets during a snowfall. And I think it's about education, posting the right types of signs, which I'm happy to, do up some samples for you to look at. And also doing posters for the buildings that they can put in their mail rooms. That gives them information about where to park during a snowfall, when they can park, when they can't park, what a snow emergency is. I think we're better off educating the existing demand that's there now. If you build a garage, you got to build a garage that's going to have a capacity of about 300 to 400 cars in order to make it economically feasible.
Right, there's not.
And do you really want to bring 300 cars into the East Hartsdale Avenue area? Do you want to increase that amount of vehicular traffic on a street that can't handle it now? So
The only thought that I had was if all the apartments there decided that they need, more parking. And, I think the demographics of the avenue are definitely changing. So people, it's not as many senior citizens, it's
Right.
gradually, changing. I thought that if they wanted to cover 100% of the costs of an addition, and then it would be gated, but it would be reserved only for them, that would basically resolve the parking problem of residents.
Buildings haven't even responded that
Well,
well.
they have not been very positive. I mean, they would like to see somebody build a garage, but they don't want to build
Well,
it.
then that's.
Right.
But I'm saying,
Right.
I don't think I feel like strongly that there's definitely not a need for the town to do something.
As
But-
with us, right?
But I feel that if the buildings feel that there's a problem with their tenants, and they cover the costs of the RFP, if they want to do an RFP, we could always issue it, and then they pay for it, and then if it's going to cost, whatever millions it is, then they would assess their shareholders, and then we would put a gate, and then they could say, this is additional parking for only residents of the avenue. That's the only thing that I think would work. But, we could try the other approach first, and if that doesn't, if we find that there's a bigger problem, then we could always
We go back
explore
to the
that.
drawing board.
I
But
mean, does that make any sense?
it makes sense to me. And the Webfield parking, I would say about 15 to 20 people took advantage of it.
Well, that's still a lot.
Yeah, which was more than I think we anticipated. There's still parking there, as a matter of fact, even though the ban is over. There's about 4 cars on average there a night.
So it shows
So I
that
think
we've been
we have,
responsive.
we have options. I think that we can explore, and if you want to continue, we want to continue with the building, the co-ops and the rental buildings, but at least we have a temporary set of solutions in place. But I think before we start inviting these buildings to start marketing themselves to people with 2 and 3 cars, we have to look at the infrastructure.
Well, that's why
Yeah.
my suggestion really is.
Because the infrastructure can't handle it. You can't get off that street on Saturdays and Sundays. And that's the parking from local, that's the traffic from local. It's not, so we're keeping all these statistics. I would like to work with Captain Wisner, who's working on behalf of the police department on this, and perhaps with DPW and Garrett, and come up with, quickly, so we have it in place by the end of the summer, what the options are for people on the avenue, and to educate them as much as possible, and to do it very directly. You can't do it through realtors and managing agents, because it just doesn't get passed along.
Can I make a suggestion? Could we, put this back on the agenda for, maybe the second week in November?
Sure.
And then we
Well, I
could,
would do it earlier.
when would you want to?
I would say September at the latest, because if we're going to put a plan together to get posters in buildings and signs on the street, DPW is going to need time to work on that.
So why don't we put it for the second or third weekend of September, and then.
And I'll do up some things for your consideration that you can look at before then.
That's
But-
good. And then we'll have the police chief and everybody involved in that. And
Okay.
then you could also let people in the complexes, know.
Yeah, absolutely.
what-
I think
what's
that's been the
happening.
biggest problem, is communicating with them directly,
Yeah.
what their options are.
I think I'm going to ask Janelle or George to put this discussion, do a link, a YouTube link, and this way when people call me in the winter, they'll be able to.
When we have more
Watch this,
information.
right.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
So, yeah,
Okay.
I'll let you know when our next date is.